If you're trying to play songs in your basement, or you're trying to learn songs and play with a band, but fills are just frustrating you to no end, leaving you feeling self-conscious and having to just play straight time and no fills for an entire song, then let me help you overcome this today. I'll teach you the secret that makes this simple, as well as some tips and exercises for really upping your fill game, even if you're a total beginner. You can do this. Hey, welcome to The Non-Glamorous Drummer. I'm so glad you're hanging out with me today. I help beginner and intermediate drummers become the musicians others want to play with and listen to and have in their bands. And we do this by teaching you the core drumming skills that really matter, that get you results a lot faster. And hey, speaking of fast results and shortcuts, if you are a beginner drummer, I have something special for you. If you're trying to just get up and running and playing songs, but you're having a hard time knowing what to play, like what fill was that? Okay, what groove do I need to play this song? Well, this song has a different kind of groove. What is this? If you're just trying to get these bare bones basics together so you can get up and running playing songs, I have a guide to help you out a whole bunch. This is called 25 Practical Rock Grooves and Fills for the Beginner Drummer. It is your total cheat sheet. You can go through this and learn these basic grooves, learn these basic fills, and you'll be able to use this stuff in 95% or more of pop and rock songs that you play. So this gives you that foundation vocabulary so that you can just have fun. That's the idea. I want you to have fun playing songs, and this is going to help you get there. And this might be what helps get you started and really help you pull a lot of success and a lot of value out of this lesson today. So if you're a total beginner, grab that guide. That's going to help you out a bunch alongside today's lesson. It's in the description below, and it's totally free. Okay, let's dive in. Today, I want to take you from having no clue what to play and when to knowing how to play the right fill and be creative in the process. I think that's what we want, being able to have the confidence that what we're playing is actually fitting the music and actually sounding good, because sometimes we just feel clueless there. And so that's the big goal I've got for you today. We're going to talk about the simple secret. I'm going to break this down, as well as two critical elements that we also need to keep in mind and not miss. And then we'll get really practical, and I'll share with you an exercise you can actually play on the drum set that's going to really help you with a lot of this. So here we go. The simple secret. The answers are all in the melody. Now, the problem is that we don't really know what to do with the melody. Of course, we can cue up any pop song, any song with lyrics, with a vocal, and there's the melody. It's staring us in the face right there. It's the melody. But what do we do with that? What does this actually mean? If the answers are in the melody, what does this mean? Well, to put this very simply, and I'm going to try to keep this super simple and fundamental, because yes, there are a lot of things we can talk about here, and we will get a little bit more complex with these two critical elements I mentioned. But starting out here, only play fills that either fill space between vocal phrases or that reinforce things that the vocalist is singing. You'll find that almost every fill fits into one of those two categories, where either there's a fill that is emphasizing, like hitting a certain rhythm that the vocalist sings, and in very rhythmic songs, a lot of times that'll happen, where a fill happens that maybe the whole band is hitting and it's all in conjunction with the melody, or the singer stops singing, a fill happens. That's usually just the logical rule to follow. And so what I want you to do, go listen to your favorite song. Pull up your favorite record, pull up some favorite songs, favorite band, whoever, and listen to the melody. And then listen for what happens every time the vocalist stops singing. Most of the time you'll hear drum fills. Now it depends on the band, it depends on the style. A lot of times there's drum fills at the end of these phrases, at the end of these song sections. Or it might be a guitar lick, because the drummer is, this is something to definitely keep in mind, the drummer is not the only person in the band in charge of playing fills. A guitar lick can be called a fill. It's functioning the same way as a drum fill. So there might be a guitar lick. These are things that producers will call ear candy. You've got to fill all these spaces and make sure there's always something in there to engage your ear and just keep you entertained when you're listening to a song. And this is so true in popular music. And so anytime there's a space, something happens to fill that space. If there's nothing there, there's probably nothing there for a reason, and it might be very specific to that specific song. But most of the time, when the singer stops singing, something happens. Is it a drum fill? Was there a guitar lick? Is there a bass riff? If you're playing with a band and there's a spot there where there's just nothing, then that might be where you play your fill. And so at a super fundamental level here, play a fill whenever the singer stops singing. That is the most beginner fundamental way to interact with the melody when you're playing songs. Be listening to the melody, be listening to the singer, and just only play a fill when they stop singing. While they're singing, be listening to what they're doing and thinking, does what I'm playing fit rhythmically with what they're singing? And if you're paying attention to the melody, you literally can't go wrong. because everything you play is going to at least somewhat fit, and you're not going to be stepping on top of the singer. You're not going to be getting in the way if you're listening to what they're doing and you're waiting for them to stop singing for you to play something. And so this is super basic, fundamental, base level. Play whenever the singer stops singing, as long as there's not like a guitar riff or something going on there. So that's our very basic understanding, the simple secret, the answers are in the melody. That is the most fundamental way to start this. How many times can I say fundamental and basic? The point is, this is simple. This is not complicated. This is very simple, and I wish I had understood this sooner. Because if I'm honest with you, I went years playing with a couple of bands and just never even thinking about this. It was kind of like, all right, a fill feels right here around the kit. Listen back to a recording and I'm vomiting all over the singer. I'm vomiting all over a guitar part because I just wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention to those things. And so it's so simple, but yet I missed that for so long. That could be you. Hopefully you're smarter than I was. Maybe you haven't been missing this, but if you have, I know this is for somebody, listen to the melody, pay attention to that. It's so simple. Just start listening to that and you're gonna find that you instantly sound so much better. All right. The melody isn't all though, because yes, this does get more complex. Yes, there are other variables, and so we want to talk a little bit about that too before we get into this practical exercise you can do as well. There are two critical elements I want you to keep in mind, because the melody does tell us what and when to play on a micro level. So there might be a moment where the vocalist sings a specific rhythm and we want to hit that rhythm with them, or they stop singing and there's a little bit of space. Let's throw in a fill there. So thinking linearly as the song goes through, there are little spots. The melody's telling us what to play and when right there on a micro level, but not really on a macro level. We need to also be thinking about the big picture and thinking about the entire song. So the two critical elements, number one is understand the arrangement of the song. In other words, the roadmap, the order. Is it verse, chorus, bridge, chorus? That's typical pop format. Number two, know the genre, know the style, because every genre kind of has its vocabulary of fills. Like there are certain fills you play in certain genres. There are rock fills that you're not going to play if you're playing like a sort of a funky Stevie Wonder song or like a Bill Withers tune. And then there are Motown fills you might play that you're not going to put in a hard rock song. And so there are certain genre-specific fills. And so you always want to be aware of, well, what style am I playing? What kind of style is this band? Is this song? What's the vibe? What kind of fills are appropriate for this? And then understand the arrangement. So two things to do to really help you get into these two elements. So as far as arrangement goes, challenge yourself to write a shorthand chart for a song. Now, I talk about this a lot. I have a course on my website all about this, because I am all about learning songs by ear. I want you to learn songs by ear and not from sheet music and drum tabs. And the biggest reason for doing that is that you need to understand the song. You need to actually immerse yourself in the song. You need to be able to memorize it and see the big picture and understand all the whys of here's why this happened, why that happened, so that the song all makes sense. If you just learn a song from sheet music, you're just being spoon-fed the song and you're never having to think about what the song actually is. You're not having to think about, what am I going to play here? Okay, what part is this? How does this feel? No, it's just like a math test. You're just regurgitating answers and playing notes on a page. I know many of you go that route. I know many of you like learning songs from sheet music, and that's not a terrible thing, but you're only going to go so far with that. That's going to be a crutch eventually. And so I want you to learn by ear. I've got other lessons on this. I'll link a couple of them below. Challenge yourself to learn songs by ear. Write a shorthand chart. So literally as you're listening to a song, just write out, okay, verse, that was a verse. Now we're in a chorus, verse, chorus, bridge. Just write that out. And you can count measures later on. We can get more and more advanced with this. I have a training about this. Don't let it overwhelm you. At a fundamental level here, we just want to get a basic roadmap down. So start with your favorite song. Listen to your favorite song and write down, what's the roadmap? What's the sequence? Is it verse, chorus, bridge, chorus? There you go. You've got a big macro level map of the song. Now, as far as understanding the genre and the style goes, just listen to a bunch of music. Listen to a bunch of music in that style. I started playing with, back before COVID, I was playing with a band that did a lot of like weddings, parties, corporate events, and they did a lot of popular 70s and 80s music. And I hadn't played a lot of that before, but as I listened to a bunch of it, I started to realize there are certain things these songs all have in common. There's like a groove vocabulary, a fill vocabulary, certain things you do, certain things you don't do. And so I started to realize there's a lot of cohesiveness here, and this is what this band is going for. And when you start to understand that, it's like learning a language, and you start to realize, okay, this is a language that they're speaking. Is this particular fill in that language? No. Is this one? Yes, this one is. And so when you're trying to know what the right fill is to play in a Led Zeppelin song, listen to a whole bunch of Zeppelin and any music like that. If you're trying to figure out what kind of fill to play in a Michael Jackson dance tune from the 80s, well, listen to a lot of 80s pop music where it's all very drum machine based, and that gives you a lot of an idea of, you know, there probably aren't a lot of fills. It's more groove based, it's more feel based. And so every style is different, every band's a little bit different, but listen to a lot of music and pay attention to that. That's how you'll get really comfortable at understanding the genre and the style, and therefore knowing what kind of fill to play. Now, one thing to talk about a little here before we move into our practical exercise: why is arrangement so important when it comes to fills? So obviously understanding the genre is important because that's literally telling us, okay, play this kind of stuff and not this kind of stuff if you're wanting to be true to a genre or a band's style. But as far as arrangement goes, listening to a song and writing out verse, chorus, and whatnot, why is that important? Well, that's very important because we want to tell a story with our fills. Every great song is a story. It feels like a story where there's tension and there's release and there's dynamic changes and there's building up and going back down. A great song should feel like any great movie where whether or not the lyrics are telling a story, the song needs to feel like a story. And there's something about verse, chorus, bridge, chorus that feels complete and feels like a story. We can break that down in more depth, but that's beyond where we want to go today. Point is, when you understand the arrangement, you see, okay, this part of the song right here is the biggest, most epic part. So everything I play needs to lead up to whatever I'm playing at the biggest, most epic part. A lot of songs will have that moment where maybe there's the big fill, like the big fill around the kit. That should probably only happen once. So you want to think about, okay, where is that going to be? What is the biggest moment of the song? And then make sure you don't play all your cards too early. I remember some of the best advice I got from a drumming mentor and coach, a fellow drummer here in town who listened to me, watched me play years ago, and gave me some great advice that I'm so thankful for. I remember him listening to me play something, and at the end of like I was playing like the first chorus of the song or something, and I played a certain fill or something. He told me afterwards, he's like, man, that fill you played there in that first chorus, that's last chorus material. That's not first chorus material. That's last chorus material. Save that for later. Don't play your whole hand too quick, because then what are you going to have left later? The more you can save and have, the more you can have some restraint. Maybe that's a word. The more you can have some restraint early in the song, the more options that gives you later on. And that's something studio drummers are so great at, saying, you know what, I'm just going to play this super simple fill going into the first chorus, and then we'll barely change it going into the second chorus. That way, when we go into the last chorus, we can really make this big and epic without having to do a lot. If you play too much in the beginning and you get too loud and crazy on the cymbals at the beginning of the song, well, then you don't have as far to go later. You're already up here, so what are you going to do? And so it gets kind of tricky. So you always want to think about everything you're playing leading up to what is the biggest moment, and then ramp it down from there. That's a big deal. That's why arrangement is so important. So we've got melody. That's our fundamental, super crucial. Melody, pay attention to that on a micro level. Then on a macro level, we want to pay attention to the arrangement as well as the genre, the style. So let's get practical. I'm going to give you a really fun exercise to play on the drum set. But just to review here are your action steps. Number one, listen to songs. Listen to songs a bunch, because there's only so much I can just tell you here. You've got to take action on this and run with this by listening to songs. So listen to the music that you're wanting to play a bunch. Listen to music that you've listened to a lot, like your favorite band, and listen to some stuff that's unfamiliar, and you'll really learn a lot in the process. Practice writing shorthand charts. I'm linking that training below on that. So you can get a feel for the roadmap and start internalizing songs, memorizing songs on your own without the help of drum tabs and tutorials that are spoon feeding you. I want you to really understand songs. The key to playing a song like a pro is understanding a song, not just reading it off of paper, not just being taught the parts and then regurgitating them. You've got to listen and learn by ear. That's how you really get ahead and how you really learn how to master songs and sound great at them. That's a big deal. So do those things and practice this fill phrasing exercise. That's what we're going to do now. So the whole thing about, melody is telling us what to play on a micro level, but on a macro level, we want to think about, let's say we've got a 16-bar chorus. Should we put any fills in that chorus? I don't know, it depends on the song. But let's say this is a basic rock song where we can throw in some little fills here and there. What I want you to do is get used to feeling certain amounts of time go by.
So what does 4 bars feel like? What does 8 bars feel like? And so on, and 16 bars. So the way this exercise is going to work, we're going to play 16 bars. We're going to pretend this is a chorus of a song. We're going to play a small fill at the end of measure 4. We're going to play a medium fill, so getting kind of bigger at the end of measure 8. We're going to go back to a small fill at the end of measure 12, and then a huge fill, big epic fill at the end of measure 16. So you can see how we're pacing this out because this is made up of 4-bar phrases. And the end of an 8-bar section feels a lot more conclusive than the end of just a 4-bar section. And the end of a 16-bar section feels even more conclusive than the end of an 8-bar section. And so you also want to phrase your fills, phrase your playing based on these common building block lengths of most songs. So if you're playing a song where you've got the option to play a lot of fills, this is what you want to be thinking about. And this also helps you in feeling the passage of time without counting. That's key. Yes, I want you to count when you're writing a chart. That's always a good thing to do and write, okay, this chorus is 8 bars, this verse is 16 bars. But after that, don't be counting. You need to be feeling it. Most songs you don't need to count because it's very simple. It's 4, 8, 12, 16. Those multiples of 4 are very feelable. We feel those naturally. So I'm going to play through this exercise. I'll play through it, then you can play along with me, but I encourage you to do this yourself and decide, all right, here's my small fill for bar 4, small fill for bar 12. Here's my medium fill for bar 8, and here's my big fill for measure 16. And you can exchange all sorts of different fill options here. But the idea is practice this phrasing, practice going from here to here and feeling the passage of time. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to click us off and show you how this exercise might work. You get the idea. And then from there, you could go into, okay, playing on the ride and doing another big 16-bar section from there, doing like a big loud 16-bar section and then a quiet 16-bar section, like drop it down. And so you can imagine in your head, okay, I'm playing a song and we've got a big loud section and a soft section, loud section, soft section, and then practice just inserting fills there at the end of each 4-bar section, but keeping the fills small at the end of 4 bars and a little bigger at the end of an 8-bar section, and then small again at the end of a 4-bar section, but then big once you've done 16. That's going to help you so much in feeling phrases and feeling the typical passages of time in rock and pop songs. So many songs are just 4, 8, 12, 16. No need to count. You can just feel it. Trust me. That's what I challenge you to do. So I got to ask you, what's lacking in your fill game right now? So I know the big thing that was lacking in mine was not listening to the melody and also just playing too many notes. It was kind of that twofold thing. And when that drumming mentor pointed these things out to me, I immediately shifted to, okay, I'm going to listen to the melody and base my playing more off of the melody, but also talking about simple things. So that's very simple. The other simple thing was just playing more simply, playing less notes. And I found that the less notes I played, the better my fills were because they were more intentional and more compelling. So maybe that's you. We didn't even talk about that today. Maybe you need to try playing less notes. A fill doesn't have to be a lot of notes. A fill can just be a couple of notes. And that's the cool thing about this fill phrasing exercise. It encourages you to play very simple fills there on 4 and 12, and then something a little more complex maybe on 8 and busier at 16, whatever you want to do. But sometimes the best fills, the most impactful, compelling fills, are very simple. So I know I needed to listen to the melody. I needed to simplify what I was doing so I could be more intentional. Maybe that's you. Maybe you just need to practice the fill phrasing exercise and get to where you can feel the passage of time, feel where the fills need to go. Maybe you haven't spent enough time listening to music and just sitting back and listening and appreciating what all these other drummers have played on great recordings so that you can glean a lot from them and really copy what they're doing. This is, in order to learn the drums, how do we get good at the drums? By copying other people who are good at the drums. It is not plagiarism to take great fills on records and apply them yourself and insert them at will wherever you want to. That's how music works. That's how we get good at this, by learning from the greats
and copying what they do. So listen to music a bunch. That's going to definitely go a long way. And if you are a total beginner and you do need a little bit of spoon feeding, I'll let you cheat a little if you're just starting out. You're just trying to get up and running and you're trying to play songs, but you just don't know what to play. Grab that 25 practical rock grooves and fills for the beginner drummer guide. It is your cheat sheet. It's totally free. You'll quickly catch on to the notation and you can listen to the recordings and go check out those grooves and really get going, because that'll give you a great vocabulary of things you can just play and insert into songs, and you'll find you're able to play 95% of pop and rock songs once you go through that. So that's going to help you out a bunch, and then this lesson is going to just help you continue to go even deeper with that. So I hope this has been valuable to you. I hope this has been fun. I love this kind of stuff. I love talking about music and talking about fills, because these are the reasons why we got into drums in the first place. If you're like me, you didn't get into the drums to play paradiddles. You didn't get into the drums to play fast double bass. You didn't get into this to just make noise and bang on stuff. Maybe you did, but ultimately, probably what ultimately inspired you was a great song. You heard some awesome drummer on an awesome song. You were like, I want to do that. That's what it was for me. We got to play music, and that's what this is all about. All right, this has been fun. I will see you on the next lesson. Know that, as always, you can do this. You are capable of mastering fills. I believe in you. So get out there, take action, head to your practice room, start working on this stuff. Stay non-glamorous. I will see you on the next lesson.